It's possible he has.
I do have sound. Did we discussed the sound thing before?
We did.
We did?
Yeah.
Where I played it?
Last class.
Yeah, we did, last class.
If they don't know, then they weren't.
Are you done?
Yeah.
Okay. Small boy, small boy, 4 years old, was playing and fell in a swing. He had a bruise and had a little cut, which was visible and started bleeding. The bleeding didn't stop for a long time. His mom washed and bandaged the cut, however, it didn't stop bleeding even after that for a long time. Later, the child complained of pain in the knee area. So they went to the doctor and an x-ray was done. The x-ray showed bleeding into the joints and tests showed hemophilia A. What do you think was causing the nonstop bleeding? Obviously hemophilia A, but what is the problem with hemophilia A? Yes?
The lack of intrinsic factor 8. Not intrinsic factor, clotting factor 8.
Yes, the lack of
Sorry.
clotting factor 8, which is in the intrinsic pathway of the clotting cascade. Yes. Cool? Okay. We've already seen hemophilia before, yes. If you were one of the ones that not choose hemophilia A or B for your initial assignment, now it's fair game, right? Because we're going over it. Hemophilia A or B. I don't know if any of you guys noticed. Some of you may have, but I'm from the Midwest, and every once in a while somebody will realize that as I'm talking, because some of that will come out. Because in the Midwest, the letter A and 8 are the same sound. So hemophilia A is missing clotting factor 8, right? And then you can go ahead and eat your eggs. Eggs, right? It's the same thing. So that's how you remember the difference between A and B. Okay, most of the time it is hemophilia A, missing clotting factor 8 in the intrinsic cascade. Sometimes it's hemophilia B. This is the thing, I know you guys can't really see it very well, but what you need to know about this clotting cascade, you don't have to memorize the whole thing, but what you do need to know are a few key factors here. One is factor 8 and factor 9 are in the intrinsic pathway. What's the intrinsic pathway of clotting? That means that a blood vessel, like so, actually got damaged. Okay, if a blood vessel gets damaged, it'll kick in the intrinsic pathway of clotting. Okay, if tissues got damaged, that kicks in the extrinsic pathway of the clotting cascade. Okay, so hemophilia A and B are both in the intrinsic pathway of clotting because that's directly damaging blood vessels like in this picture here. Okay, still with me? You guys remember how hemophilia was transmitted genetically?
Yeah.
This is a X-linked recessive, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the thing. You need to know this clotting cascade so you can understand hemophilia and von Willebrand's for that matter. Okay, first thing, like it says here, is you get a cut in some kind of blood vessel, right? Arterial, capillary, whatever it is. Okay, that's going to obviously bleed, and then the first thing is going to be a nervous response where it's going to clamp down on that blood vessel. Okay, that's going to slow the flow of the blood immediately because you vasoconstrict it. Right? Makes sense? Then what's going to happen is these little platelets are going to come in. Platelets are always floating around the blood. Again, they're just red blood cell fragments, right? But if you take these platelets that are supposed to be forming this plug and you blow them up, say they look like this, they have little hooks on them, okay, where they hook to each other. Okay, so you take these little platelets, oops, and they have these little hooks and they all hook together, and then they can like stick to the walls because they have little hooks there too, right? And then it forms this little plug, okay? That is a platelet issue, okay? That has nothing to do with hemophilia A or B, okay? But that is like the first line of defense there. So yeah, you will still bleed with hemophilia A or B longer, even though you're still making a platelet plug because they're not that stable, okay? What they need to be stable is this next part, which is at the very end of this clotting cascade, fibrin. Fibrin comes in and puts a net over all of these platelets and holds everything together and more permanent and more stable. Does that make sense? So that's the problem with hemophilia is that if the intrinsic pathway gets stimulated and you don't have any of those factors, whether it's 8 or 9 or anything in that whole pathway, you're not making this fibrin net. Without that fibrin net, you're going to have a longer bleeding time. Okay? You don't bleed more, except for pure time, right? You don't bleed faster, you just bleed longer. Okay? Now, since we're on the subject, the other kind of bleeding, again, if you didn't do von Willebrand's, now we're going to go over it. Von Willebrand's is that's the platelet problem, okay? Because again, if these little platelets have little hooks on them, von Willebrand's factor is those hooks are missing, okay? So you can imagine what would happen with those little platelets as they try to clump up. They can't clump to each other, and they can't clump to the wall of the endothelium of the inside of that blood vessel, so they just kind of slide through. Okay, so there people with von Willebrand's are going to bleed longer. Eventually, that fibrin net, because with von Willebrand's, the clotting cascade is working fine, and they are going to make that fibrin, and it is going to make a net, and they're going to catch platelets eventually, and everything is going to stop bleeding eventually, right? So hemophilia A and B, essentially the same thing, just different factors that they're missing. Von Willebrand's, completely different thing. That is the actual hook on the platelets is completely gone. Okay? Any questions on any of that? This says more or less the same thing about hemophilia. And this is the von Willebrand's that I'm telling you about. Okay, if you were one of those people that did von Willebrand's, you may have researched it and realized there are a bunch of different kinds of von Willebrand's. In this class, we're only sticking to the one that is autosomal dominantly inherited. Okay? Because it has like all the options. Okay? We're only sticking to the autosomal dominantly inherited von Willebrand's. What's missing are these little platelet hooks called von Willebrand's factor. That's what the VWF is. Okay? Without that von Willebrand's factor or the platelet hook, they just slide right on through. Questions on that? Because I just went through hemophilia A, B, and von Willebrand's kind of fast. It is all here. And of course you can subscribe to Bridget's and or my YouTube channel and catch it there again, because she's recording this again. Huh? Fine. Subscribe to Bridget's. I don't care. I don't need your subscription. Whatever. Watching you. Okay, this, you don't have to, again, you don't have to memorize all this stuff. Well, whatever. What I do need you to know, though, on this, again, this is the whole intrinsic and extrinsic pathway thing of clotting. This right here, tissue factor. Again, extrinsic is something is wrong with the tissues themselves. And when the tissues are damaged, maybe trauma or something like that, the whole process starts of the extrinsic pathway by activating tissue factor. That's kind of like the thing that makes it start to clot, okay? That's kind of important when we start talking about something else, which we are going to cover next time, because this is as far as we got in the other class, okay? So on Tuesday, we're going to finish up, which is only going to take maybe 10 minutes. And then we're going to try to review. So you guys have that practice exam up there. You should have it done by Tuesday. You have a study guide up there.
I know.
It's huge. She knows. Start working on that, okay? You have a busy, busy weekend because we want to just review on Tuesday mostly. And then have the test on Thursday.